We are live. Welcome to the podcast. I'm John.
And I'm Hayley.
And for those of you watching on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you watch, you'll notice it's a slightly different setup this week. And that's because I'm still at trial.
This trial
Goes
is...
on, yeah.
Yeah, the longest trial in history.
Yeah. It's actually quite short in real terms, but it's one of those, it's just because it's gone on for a lot longer than it was listed for. Yeah, we're well beyond our listing time now. So yeah, and it's because I'm traveling to the location for this trial every single day. It's, yeah.
Every week we think we'll be back to normal next week, and then Friday comes and it's like, oh God, it's still going on.
It's still going on. So yeah, so we're literally filming this Friday morning before I'm going to fly out to court. That's why we're in a different setup. And it's going to be a shorter podcast, but hopefully, should be service resumed as normal next week.
Touch wood. This is a wooden table, and I'm touching it.
So, well, let's start by naming the episode. We're on episode 47, Hayley.
Wow.
So, in 6 weeks' time, we will have been doing this for a year.
That is crazy.
Yeah. So does that mean you left private practice best part of a year ago then?
Yeah, it was
Wow.
end of March, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then we started recording.
Yeah. It was funny, wasn't it? Because we were in Pizza Express recently and you said that was where we were when you made the decision. Or we had a chat about it, yeah?
Yep, we were in Pizza Express and we were having a big chat about the business, about my practice, where things were going, and we pretty much decided we were going to do that next big step, didn't we?
Go all in.
Wow, yeah. Big moves, moves.
Yeah, it really was.
I think we made the right choice.
I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so 47, so we need to name it.
Yep.
It's a Formula 1 driver again, Hayley.
Is this the one where you said we were going to know it, or am I getting that confused?
No, that was Valentino Rossi last week.
Right, okay.
And you didn't guess it, but when it said the name, you knew who he was.
Yeah. It's coming back to me now. It's
all
very early in the morning, guys. Very early.
All right, but to give you a hint, we did mention this chap's name last week. So he was Formula 2 champion in 2020.
No.
He drove for Haas for a couple of seasons.
No.
His dad's a pretty big name in the sport. And I'm not talking Max Verstappen.
I was going to say Max Verstappen then. His dad's a pretty big name in the sport. Oh. Mick Schumacher.
Yeah. Mick Schumacher. So, yeah, for those who don't know, he's the son of Michael Schumacher. I suppose by definition also the nephew of Ralph Schumacher.
I don't know who Ralph Schumacher is.
So he was Michael's brother. And they were racing at the same time. So he's got 6 Grand Prix wins to his name.
What?
Yeah.
That family's got good genes.
That family's got good genes. So yeah, they've shared podiums together. I don't think there's many brothers in F1 that have shared podiums.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I bet if you and Alan were in F1, you'd share podiums.
I think so, yeah. Assuming we both finished in the top 3 in a race, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I suppose it's not really a question on sharing, is it? It's more like ability.
It's like, come on over, Ralph, come with me.
Yeah. True.
So he was Formula 2 champion in 2020. Lewis Hamilton won the last of his Formula 1 World Championships in 2020. So you had Schumacher and Hamilton World Champions at the same time.
Wow.
Yeah, quite cool. So yeah, I really raised him. I thought he was good. I don't think he's been given a fair chance.
Think he'll be back?
I'd like to see him back. There was always talk of him, coming back maybe in an Alpine or something. And I think the thing is, never say never. Kevin Magnussen, who drove for Haas, he left years ago. And I remember when he got kicked out of McLaren or whatever, he did a post saying, I'll be back. And yeah, he came back. Hulkenberg, he's one of them. He's like a boomerang, keeps coming back. So
yeah.
You never know.
We're rooting for you, Mick.
Yeah. Hopefully see you back in Formula 1 one day.
Yes.
Anyway, it needs to be a short episode. We haven't got much time, so let's jump in. Do we have a question, Hayley?
We do have a question, John.
Fire away.
Okay, so this is a question that came to us on LinkedIn.
Okay.
And this person is a member of our advocacy club.
Okay.
And they're saying that they've been having some difficulty balancing their university work, their exams, their advocacy club preparation, etc. So they've asked for some advice on how to manage things.
Mm-hmm.
They've also said that sometimes they can find the legal submissions complex.
Okay.
And have asked for your advice in dealing with this, breaking it down, etc., etc.
Okay. All right. And in that regard, what I would say is, number one, in terms of balancing time, that is difficult, actually.
And it's something that you have to... It's not something that you just do as a student and you're like, okay, now I can balance my time, it's great. It's something that you have to do continuously right throughout your career.
Yeah.
Even when you're qualified, you'll be juggling many cases at once, personal life, personal commitments as well. So it's definitely, something that we understand, and it's a struggle that will be continuous throughout your career.
Yeah, it never goes away. It never goes away.
But you do learn how to manage it better.
Yeah, of course you do. Of course you do. And you get to a point where you figure out what do you need to prioritise. But when you get to university, it's a massive shock to the system from A levels, because you go from when you're in sixth form or college or wherever you do A levels, you go to class, you do homework, and you take an exam. So there's not really much independent study involved. Obviously, homework is independent study to a point, but you're just doing exercises that reinforce what you've learned in class. So everything's taught to you. The teacher gives you lessons, and then whereas you get to university and it's very much you go to lectures. If it's anything like my university, you have 6 or 8 lectures a week, and that's that. And then they say the rest of your time, the rest of your however long you've been to spend doing uni work is your time for you to do independent study. So they give you the bare bones in a lecture, and then it's for you to then go around, read around the subject, read articles, read the cases, read the textbook. And then obviously you have, a few tutorials. We have probably 2 or 3 a week, maybe 4. And then the same thing, you get given exercises for them, but once again, you've got to do all the reading to prepare for them. And, some of them you're given, it might be, all right, you've got to read 150 pages from the book this week. And you go, wow, where am I going to get the time to do all that? And that initially was just a shock. I just couldn't get into it. And I felt like I was lagging behind for the first few months at university. And it just took a while for me to get into that. So number one, what I'll say is the shifting your mindset from sixth form to university just takes time. It just takes practice, and it's just about doing the reps, getting them in there. And then you get to the point whereby, you figure out how to read these things. And don't forget, reading case law, reading these legal articles, it's nothing like you've ever read before. Lawyers don't speak in a simple manner, if I put it that way. These things are not written in an easy to digest manner. Some judgments are, but most aren't. So, you're reading through, and sometimes you have to read something a couple of times to really understand the meaning of it.
Yeah.
This video is brought to you by Speed Mooting. We are an organisation that help aspiring and junior lawyers. We run online and in-person advocacy and mooting competitions. We do online advocacy and public speaking training, and we run lots of other events to assist people on their legal journey. To learn more, visit our website, speedmooting.com.
And you can look at it and just be so overwhelmed. This is like, oh gosh, this is a 30-page judgment, and why are they going on, and why, this could have been much shorter, but it's actually not. Judges are very deliberate with every word they say, aren't they? So you might think it's, I'll just skim read this, it can't be important, but actually there will be something important in this. So you've got to learn how to read the full judgment, and as John says, digest each part of it. And I think the way I would say is just break it down.
Absolutely.
Paragraph at a time, highlight important parts. If you don't quite understand something, maybe just go away for 5 minutes, come back and try and read it again.
And what you'll realise as well is, so for some subjects you have the textbook, whatever, I think that's what you call a textbook, and then you have a cases and materials book, which generally has academic articles that interpret the cases, and sometimes you might even have judgments in there. And that's really good at, having an academic giving their opinion on it, and that's, obviously important for university when you come to do various questions for the exams, etc. They're asking you how you interpret the cases. And it's just, as I say, it just takes a while to get your head around that side of things. And sometimes the articles can be helpful to help you interpret the cases. And if ever you do get to a point whereby you really don't understand something, drop your lecturer an email. I'm sure they'll help you. Or, if there's drop-in sessions, go and see them. And it's something, in retrospect, that I should have done. I'm giving you advice for something I should have done. I would just sit there and continue to read until I got my head around it. But, if you're not getting something, there's nothing wrong with sending your lecturer an email saying, I don't really understand this point, can you help me interpret this?
And speak to your friends and your peers as well, because maybe someone has understood it or someone's interpreted it differently to you. So it always helps to talk it through with somebody else as well at a peer-to-peer level. And then, as John says, have a chat with your lecturer. If you're struggling with the fundamentals, like breaking down the cases and how to approach it, they'll have some great tips for you as well.
Yeah. And I think where I'm going with this is, at the start, if you're anything like me, it's just going to take time. You're just going to have to put hours and hours and hours and hours in to really make that shift. And what'll happen is over time, you get to the point whereby your mindset shifts into legal study mode, and then it becomes easier, and you can read cases maybe once and you understand them. You read the textbook, you're understanding the principles, because, as I say, law for me was absolutely alien. I studied business, IT and maths at A level, so law was nothing like anything I'd really studied before. So having to go through this, interpretative reading and application, and I just didn't get it. I felt overwhelmed. So over time, you'll get that, and then that'll mean that you're spending less time on your legal stuff. Not because you're going to spend less time doing it. It's less time because it just takes you less time to do all your uni work, etc. And then you've got more of that balance back anyway. Mm-hmm. Which then brings me on to Advocacy Club. Okay, so I think the point this individual was making was that, they're having some difficulty with the legal submissions.
Yeah, sometimes they feel like they're too complex, or they might be out of their depth in approaching them.
And what we try and do is we try and make our problems as simple as possible by including absolutely everything in there. And, sometimes we're doing things that might be, covered on the bar course. So it might be, a plea mitigation. It might be the default judgment application, whatever it is. And for those things, what we'll do is we try and include as simplistic an explanation of the criminal procedure rules, the civil procedure rules, anything that's required. We'll break it down, so we'll explain it into, in a few paragraphs for them.
Yeah.
But even still, it's something you never covered before, and it can be complex. And it's the best thing I can say really is have a go, put together what you think your submissions are. You're practicing submissions advocacy, you're practicing your application of the law, the legal principles, etc. And if you get it wrong, quite frankly, it doesn't matter, because when you come to the Advocacy Club session, you'll practice what you think your submissions were. And within your group, you'll see other people doing this, and you'll learn so much through osmosis. You learn so much through watching other people. And obviously at the end of the session, I give a bit of a talk on how that piece of advocacy should be done, how the law applies to that piece of advocacy, etc. So, as I say, have a go. Try what you think is right, and if you get it wrong, it doesn't matter, because you've been having a go anyway, which is going to boost your confidence. You'll learn from others, and then it'll help you for the next time. And the more that you're practicing, reading these principles, trying to apply the legal principles and put it into an advocacy context, it's just more reps. So you're going to get better over time. So the good thing with the Advocacy Club, and I say this every week, is this is the place to come along and make your mistakes.
Yeah.
So don't panic that you're making mistakes. Don't panic that you're getting things wrong. It might be something that, you've not studied yet. It might be that you're in first year and you're doing a plea mitigation problem that you're not going to cover for 3 years in your studies anyway. And so you're getting ahead. You've nothing to lose by trying, and hopefully you'll learn a lot.
Yeah. And advocacy really is, it's a skill that needs to be practiced, so that, as John says, get the reps in. The more you do it, the more comfortable you'll become, and eventually it'll just become second nature to you.
Yeah, of course, yeah. So
okay.
I think that brings us to the end, because I really do need to dart. I've enjoyed recording the episode. Have you enjoyed recording, Hayley?
I've enjoyed recording it, John.
Perfect. I'm glad to hear that.
We'll bring you some more videos this week. We might do a blog or something to make up for the short party.
Yeah, apologies about this. So if you're still on your commute and you've only had 10-15 minutes worth of listening, sorry. Normal service will be resumed next week.
If this trial finishes. Please.
Yeah. Who knows? But anyway, if you're still listening at this point, we need you to drop a comment down below, and the comment this week can be the longest trial.
The longest trial. It sounds like a movie name.
It does, doesn't it? We can make a movie after this.
Yeah.
Don't worry. If the Bar Standards Board are listening, we're not making a movie about this trial.
No, John understands his ethical and professional obligations of confidentiality.
Yeah. But yeah, no. Short episode. Apologies about that. Normal service next week. Cheerio.
Bye.
Enjoying our videos? Then we'd be super grateful if you could take a moment and subscribe to our channel.